Hi, good evening everyone. My name is Charles Wong. I'm the Executive Director for our Jaya One Property Management. I'd like to welcome everyone for our another segment of our updates over our entire response over this whole COVID-19 and now where we are as the RMCO period. The date and time of recording is done on the 18th of June 2020. The time is 8:25 p.m. As of the past 7 days, I think we've recorded one of its lowest on the 14th of June, 8 new cases, and averaging at 25 cases. I think we're making very good progress. Statistics of our feedback complaint, we've received in total 10 feedbacks, 3 from the residents and 7 from our commercial. Out of that, 4 online feedback forms, 2 from emails, 1 from phone call, 2 from WhatsApp, and 1 from our Jaya One Facebook. So once again, thank you all for reaching out to our channels in terms of logging in your complaints. We really appreciate that, and we value all your feedbacks. As always, we start this segment with updates, for this week, I would like to kick off with just one big update, which is regarding AEON BiG. And there has been a lot of questions, a lot of inquiry with regards to whether AEON BiG will be opening or not. I'm really pleased to announce that AEON BiG is and will be opening. And as for now, talks between two sides have scheduled an opening sometime end of July. As to the exact date, we won't be able to release that yet, but I think that will be one piece of very good news for everyone here in Jaya One. So I'm pleased to say that. We're also equally excited about AEON BiG because this will be a very different AEON BiG compared to all other AEON BiGs. I can't wait to share more news about that in terms of what are its unique offering. Like I say, we will be hopefully giving more and more good news as the weeks pass. Thank you. With regards to this matter, this actually is this restriction of lift use is referring to J1 and J2, and I think we've covered this in the past. One of the key reasons why we have to restrict the use of the lifts of J1 and J2 from the basement is to ensure that the people who are coming into Jaya One, when they use the lifts from the ground floor, which is where the main queue areas are, we want to make sure that those areas are done safely with social distancing in place. So we have to restrict the use of those lifts in order to facilitate the main queues to form at the level G. Unfortunately, this is not something that we can reopen at this point in time. And so I hope that you'll be able to find an easier way to actually get to Children's House when you park at the basement level. And I think the best way, if you're moving around with young children, I believe to park at the designated location, which is where the bays are, which is designated for mums with children. So that's the best place to actually park and use the glass lift at the square to get yourself to level G and then make your way across to the school. That would be probably the best location at this point in time. Well, first of all, I'd like to actually confirm that actually effective from the RMCO period, we have already resumed the shopping malls opening hours from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and that's the same for the square as well, which is from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Which means the lighting level generally has been improved since last week. We have actually adjusted the lighting to be a bit brighter. Of course, it's still the dimmed down version compared to the pre-MCO period. So generally speaking, we have actually opened a lot of accesses into the mall. Lighting has resumed to about at least a good 70%. And the only area that is still we haven't quite switched on yet is actually the air conditioning for the common areas or the circulation areas, for very simple reasons, because the mall currently can't afford to do so. And I think we've covered that extensively in the idea that they wanted to save money so that they can pass on these savings to their tenants, because everyone's having such a difficult time. So with that in place, I think as far as the closing of doors and having access for customers to cater for the dinner session, generally speaking, all doors accessing in and out of the mall will start closing at 10 p.m. onwards. Ideally speaking, customers should start making their way out of the mall around the 9:45 p.m. But generally speaking, you can see that the doors remain open between about 10 p.m. Then they would start closing down. So I would suggest for Manny and Shishido to actually advise their customers to start making their way out by about 9:45 p.m. The fact actually is, with regards to this was introduced during the MCP movement control procedure at a very early point after we came out of the first MCO. And up till now, to be honest, one of the reasons why we paid very little attention to it is because we don't actually see much queues forming. We don't see as much congestion as we had thought. And so what we've decided, and we had that discussion today, that it might be easier to just lift this particular part with regards to restricting the use of lifts, whether they're going down or going up during specific times, to remove that and make it a bit more free flow for L7 and L17 and L18. So and this would free up some of our resources rather than having to police and ensure that people follow the rules, which is technically quite impossible. So so I think by sort of making a bit more free flow would actually work better for everyone. Okay, with regards to this question, we are sorry that the parents are actually experiencing this this very unpleasant situation. So we have decided to actually switch on a bit more lighting, effective from the Monday next week. So we're going to look at areas where we can turn some lights on so that to make it a bit more pleasant for the parents and the child. Okay, so that we'll do for next week. Okay, with regards to the air conditioning problems that we've been having, I'd like to take the opportunity to maybe explain to Common Ground and Children's House why we are unable to accommodate the air conditioning from 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. Onwards. Children's House wants it to switch on from 8 a.m. Common Ground wants it to switch on from 9 a.m. Let me explain to you how our chill water, our air conditioning system actually works. Our air conditioning is a centralized air conditioning system, and what it does is that it manufactures really cold water, and this cold water is then delivered through a series of pipes to all our tenants here in Jaya One. It manufactures water, and just like a heart, it pumps these cold water to all our tenants within Jaya One. Okay, and in order for this heart to function, it needs a minimum 40% of our tenants to use it. Anything less than 40%, the automated system would tell the chill water plant to switch off. All right, because there isn't enough users whereby the sort of flow of this cold water is not reaching back to our main plant. So it automatically cuts it off. When this happens, what we would do is that we'll send our technicians in to force start, to manually override and force start the chill water plant. Now, if we keep doing this over a prolonged period of time, it's going to damage our chill water plant equipment, and this is a very big equipment, and when that happens, that's it, all our air conditioning system will fail. So at this point in time, we don't actually have a solution, because due to their economic climate, many of our tenants have actually chose to sort of adjust their opening hours. Many of our tenants used to open a lot earlier, which means that we're using aircons a lot earlier. But we're not there yet. We're waiting for Celebrity Fitness to see when they will open. We're in discussion with them. They have informed us that it may be 20th of June. And we hope that if they open, there may be sufficient enough users for the system for the aircon to switch on earlier, and therefore to avoid this sort of automated cutoff. So we don't yet have that answer. We don't yet have until we are certain that Celebrity Fitness opens, and then we have to use that period to then run another experiment and see whether the air conditioning will cut off, all right, whether it meets that 40% user requirement. So we will definitely want to work with Children's House and Common Ground to see whether there's any way that you can temporarily sort of readjust your operating hours, all right, in order to kind of match and synchronize with our chilled water system. What we are very definite and confident is that 10 a.m. onwards we don't have that problem. The issue is between the 8 a.m. and the 10 a.m. Maybe in the weeks to come we can give you more certain answers, but we're not there yet. So with regret, we are not able to accommodate. The system doesn't allow us. That's the real challenge. So I'd like to apologize if everyone is inconvenienced by this. I just trust that if I can appeal to the parents and the children who are going to Children's House, the members that are going to Common Ground, to understand that this is not something that we are choosing to do, but we're being forced to do. And I can only urge that maybe you can just try to accommodate us and let the system run for a while. Let Celebrity Fitness open. Let us experiment. In the meantime, it would be safer for you to come in at 10 a.m. To avoid any sort of really unpleasant sort of situation where I can understand it's hot, it's unpleasant, it's humid. So the best is to just do that for the time being, and we will keep updating you on our progress and what's happening through this channel. Thank you. Absolutely want to thank you for this feedback. We literally just started running this temperature checkpoints at the base of the car park entry points on Monday this week. So the immediate thing we're going to do is we're going to start looking at some retraining immediately to put back in. This is not acceptable. Every guard should be reading those temperatures properly and demonstrating and showing it to the drivers and the passengers in the vehicle of what those readings are. So if they are rushing it, this is something that should not happen, and we're gonna be going through another round of retraining to make sure that they do it properly, but also making sure that they're keeping a good distance. A good distance, not too near to the passengers, but also not too far from the passengers. So we're going to work out some of these details, and just please bear with us while we try to make more improvements. Thank you. Alright, first thing first, I'd like to clarify that the security guard there actually has two roles. The first role actually is, his job there actually is to ensure that there is no cars stagnant or parked there, because that is actually quite a busy road. So his job, one of his main job actually, is to make sure that, yes, the correct word is shooing cars away, so that the idea is to make sure that that area is not obstructed by any parked vehicles. The second role he has is actually at the cross junction where street tie is. And really his role there is from time to time, especially during peak periods, lunch, in the morning hours when the residents are leaving for work, he's usually there to actually be a traffic warden. Okay, and as a traffic warden, one of his key roles is very simple. As a cross junction, this would be it. And any cars that are coming up from Jaya University and moving its way up the ramp, they're supposed to make sure to give way to the cars coming up towards the school and cars turning right into the street tie and tag boy and down the gold noodle to go up to the elevated ramp. That should be the sort of the right of way. And then cars exiting from the residence and the elevated parking coming down, they need to give way to the cars coming from the left. So I hope this illustration helps. And it's obvious, I think, from the way the complainant had described the situation, it would seem that this person may have forgotten his duties with regards to being a traffic warden. And so I think what we'll do is we will send him for training and make sure that he understands that, you know, that's one of his other roles as a traffic warden. Well, I think for Block A and Block B, it is a bit exceptional because that zone is actually quite secure from the rest of the car park areas, and this is particularly in P2 and P3. We're going to examine areas to maybe brighten and a little. We can't switch everything on, so we did discuss this in the meeting with my head of departments, and I think they're going to look and examine and see how can they improve the lighting levels there. So that one I think they will do by next week. Okay, let's deal with the easy part. Regards to the swimming pool, what we have found out is that that's currently still not allowed, and so I think it's best if we maintain the pool probably off limits. As for the gym and the playground, we think there's a better way we could do this safely. So having received this request, I don't think we will jump into reopening the gym and the playground so quickly. So can you give us this week to work out a procedure? And with this procedure, we'd like to look at how we can allow the playground and the gym together with the yoga room be done safely, or as safe as possible. Most likely it will involve sort of pre-booking, and most likely it might even involve restricting the number of people inside this facility. So, but we also worry about disinfecting in terms of how we're going to keep these areas clean. So there's a lot to think about. So give us this week to sort of work out those details, and we'll hope to announce it at the next broadcast. Thank you for giving us a suggestion. It's very rare we get ideas and suggestions, and this is a nice change for us. This particular one, suggestion of a porter is not that bad of an idea. However, when we developed the system in order to minimize the number of delivery personnel going through our lifts and into the condo. One was because of the whole COVID-19 thing, and so I think we addressed it through MCP. The second thing was why we put the whole sort of process in terms of the pickup point, parcel pickup point at POP, was we were concerned about the security aspect. So when we work with POP and their staffs to actually put in a system to track and record parcels coming in, and they even have an alert system, I believe through SMS, that your parcels are here, that actually immediately puts a security process in. So the chances of parcels losing or mistakenly being picked up by others is a lot less because there's a security procedure in place. Our concern is once we move this from the POP's team into the porter's hand, and then further exchange it to the security guard's hand up on level 8, the entire process in terms of security is going to be compromised. And what that means is that there are situations where neither party, that means POP, the porter, and the security guard up on level 8 can be held accountable, because technically each parcel would have been exchanged at least twice. Okay. I admit that at this point in time it's terribly inconvenient, because unlike other condos, what we've studied other condos is that yes, they don't allow grab and delivery up into the units. So most people actually still drop off at the lobby, and that occupants are encouraged to come down and pick up. The challenge with Jaya One's condo is that there are two lobbies technically. There's one on the level 8, and there's another one down on where POP is. So we see that inconvenience, we see that challenge where people have to transit twice to come down and pick up the delivery. And this is just another, this is the challenge, and because of the way the building is designed. The building is a mixed development. You've got that whole lovely facilities up on the condo on level 8, and you get to enjoy all that exclusive and private facilities. And then when you come down to level G, it's a whole different it's environment. You see commercial, you see retail, and that's always going to be a challenge. That's always going to be an area where you're going to have to transit twice. So we haven't given up on trying to find a better solution, but we definitely see for the time being, because of the whole MCP, because of COVID-19, and definitely from a security point of view, our present system is probably the one that is still most safest. It checks out all 3 boxes for us, and I think we really would like to keep to that for the time being. Right, thank you for all the lovely feedbacks. It's been productive for us, and I think I'm really appreciative of how we're staying in touch. I think it's really helping my team, especially progressively moving forward to really systematically resolve problems 1 week at a time. So I want to thank you all for your participation and your engagement level with us. So in the meantime, I want to say thank you, good evening, and please help us stay ahead of the curve.